guys, how's it going? Today I want to go through a fall gardening checklist, and I'm going to gear this toward beginner gardeners because we've had a lot of new subscribers this year, a lot of whom are beginners, which is wonderful. It makes me so excited, and I know there's just been kind of in general a huge shift in interest toward gardening. So I thought we'd just talk about what to do in the fall. There's a lot of things to still do. And it's a weird time of year because it feels like everything's powering down and it's becoming a little less maintenance, which it is in a way. You know, we're not having to water things so much. We're not having to look for insects quite as much. But there are a lot of other things to be thinking about. And this list is actually quite long. So some of these will be pertinent to your area and your growing zone and some may not be. So feel free to skip over the ones that don't really apply to you. Number one is to mulch any bare spots in your flower beds. And I'm not talking like a full-on mulch like we think of doing in the spring to make everything pretty and uniform. I'm talking more about addressing specific issues like bare spots, things that are more prone to wind and drying out, or those areas that have really just crummy soil or have a weed problem, because mulch can do wonders for those types of things. It can help with weed suppression, with soil erosion, with water and moisture loss, and you can use things like shredded bark mulch or whatever mulch you normally use if you can get your hands on it, and that can be an issue this time of year. But what I like to do is use the leaves that are falling off our trees. It's free. It's so good for your soil. We've had such good results with it in our own garden. So what you do is as the leaves fall, you do need to be rather diligent about it, because if you're going to use your lawnmower to pick up the leaves, they don't like to, barrel through really thick mats of leaves on your grass. So you want to do it every few days. As your trees are dropping, pick up those leaves with the mower and then use everything that's in that mower bag. Spread it on your flower beds. Water it just to kind of help settle it down so it doesn't blow away. And because you've already kind of started the composting process by breaking these leaves into little pieces, it'll just break down really quickly. And with all the moisture that we typically get in the wintertime, it'll just help break it down fast. And it feels so good to grow something and then help it return back into the earth and enrich the soil for really very minimal effort. Number two is to bring in those certain plants that can be wintered over as houseplants. So, some of us, like I bring out succulents and cactus, citrus, amaryllis. Most plants do really well outside during the spring, summer, and early fall. They flourish, and then we have to make the shift to bring them back inside. So usually I use my cutoff like 40 degrees. When it gets down to 40 or high 30s and kind of stays there at night, that's kind of my indicator, like I need to start thinking about moving my things inside. A lot of the common ones for me are succulents and cacti, citrus, amaryllis, ivy, coleus, begonias, geraniums, basil, rosemary. Those are just common ones that I bring inside and have good luck with. However, if you have something that usually dies over the course of a winter, it's an annual, and you just think, you know what? I'm going to try that inside. I mean, you're not out anything to try it as a houseplant. It's just fun to experiment with, and sometimes you can have good luck. I know some people have great luck with caladiums if you live in an area with high humidity. Some people even winter over like hellebores and heucheras inside. I've had mixed results with that one, but it's just fun to experiment with. The most important thing when you're moving plants in is just to kind of group them all together. I usually do this all on one day. Group them all together, check them over, groom them really well, repot if necessary, check them for bugs. That's one thing you don't want to do, is accidentally introduce bugs from outside to your inside plants that are already healthy. So just give them a once over, look for bugs. You can even just give them like a cursory spray of insecticidal soap, even if you don't see anything, just to make sure you've got your bases covered. We've done videos about it before, and if we remember, we'll put a link down below. But it's just a fun thing to do, and it keeps us busy throughout the winter months. Number three is to dig up and store any tender bulbs that you might be growing in your garden. And there's a few common ones: dahlias, gladiolus, caladiums, elephant ears. I'm probably leaving some out, but this is very dependent on your climate. Some of us live in an area where it's too cold to have them winter over in the ground. They'll die. Some of you will live in a warm enough climate you can leave them in the ground year round. If you're just completely not sure, and let's say you've just put dahlias in the ground in the spring, there's just really three things you need to ask. First off, what is my growing zone? If you have no idea what your zone is, Google that. Growing zone and your zip code, and you'll find out that piece of information. Second question is whatever your plant is. So in this case, dahlias. What growing zone do dahlias survive in? And you'll find out quickly, zone 8 through 11. So if your zone doesn't fall within that dahlia zone, then the third question you need to ask is, I live in a zone 6. What do I need to do with my dahlias to get them to winter over? Or something to that effect. And you'll find all kinds of information depending on what the bulb is. There'll be videos that they'll link, there'll be informational articles and things like that. So It's just something to be thinking about if you want to carry them over to the next year, which most of us do. If you've made the investment in purchasing the tubers or the bulbs or the corms and putting them in the ground, most of the time we want to try to save them over so that we don't have to buy them all over again the next year. Number 4 is to clean up any rotted or finished perennials. Now, some people like to do most of their cleanup in the spring, and I believe that is the recommended way to do it. It's the best protection for the plant. However, there are some types of plants like hostas and peonies, for example, that need to be cut back because they tend to harbor over insects and disease very badly if you leave their leaves throughout the winter time. And they usually are on the ground like all flopped over and soggy anyway. So it's kind of one of those things that's just nice to get cleaned up in the fall. Other things that you might want to think about cutting back are really tall ornamental grasses. Sometimes they'll stay upright during a winter time if it's fairly mild and you don't have a lot of snowfall or moisture load or any of that. But most of the time they will flop over and they'll create just kind of this mess on the ground. They don't look pretty through the winter anymore, and they create this big mess for you in the spring. So oftentimes big perennial grasses that get like, I've got one that gets 6 feet tall, I'll cut that one back in the fall so I don't have to worry about the mess in the spring. But do keep in mind that a lot of other perennials provide a lot of good forage and habitat for wildlife. So leaving some shorter perennials up, like, you know, shorter sedums, Rudbeckia, echinacea, things like that, the birds and wildlife really utilize a lot of. Number 5 is to weed. And I know that's probably the last thing you want to hear, but perennial weeds, they still will grow even during the winter time. Even if you don't see a lot of leaf growth on the top, their roots are still active and they're like taking hold. And if we don't keep on top of weeding all throughout the year, even in the fall when it's cold, you might have a harder time with them the next year. So just be diligent about weeding. Number 6 is to plant bulbs, spring blooming bulbs like daffodils and tulips. We're getting ready to do that in our garden this next week. We love to tuck them into flower beds, into containers. It is not a garden job that I love doing because it's a lot of work and you don't get really tangible results right away, but it's absolutely worth the effort. And that's kind of more for colder climates. I think maybe zone 7 and below. I think when you get over zone 8, you might have to pre-chill your bulbs and plant them in the spring rather than planting them in the fall because you don't get consistently cold enough temperatures to give them the cold period they need to form their buds and blooms. Number 7 is to swap your summer annuals out for more cold tolerant ones. And a lot of you guys have probably already done this. I'm talking for containers and landscape, both of those areas. It's something I work on slowly throughout the fall months. There are some things you can use like mums that are beautiful and they flower, but they're not super long lasting. But if you plant things like ornamental cabbage and kale and pansies and violas, those are the very best things to plant in containers because they bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom. Sometimes they make it all the way through the winter for us, and I don't even have to swap my plants out in the spring because they still look really good. I also like to use a lot of evergreen things too, ivies and boxwood, things that will be evergreen throughout the winter months. Number 8 is to make notes and take pictures of all the areas in your garden. I think this is a really good thing to do every single season because I can tell you right now, I could walk around and I could point out areas that are lacking in fall interest. And so if you do that every season, then you can start developing your flower beds into multi-seasonal, interesting, beautiful areas. And you can also make notes of things that maybe need to be moved or transplanted or whatever the case may be. Or maybe you want to, like, oh, I think I need a tree right in this area, or I want to take out more sod here. That way you can start planning over the winter months what you really want to do to those areas in your garden. And if you've been doing it all year and you've got pictures of the same flower bed from spring, summer, and fall, you can really, like in the wintertime, you can look through that and think, okay, what do I need to do to just really amp this area up and make it awesome? Number 9 is to clean and organize all of the containers that you are not utilizing at the current moment. And typically I don't have anything out that I don't have something planted in. But if you have containers that you've cleaned out and you just think, I don't really want to plant anything in here right now, just wash it out. Hose it down. You can sanitize it if you want to. You can do a bleach solution, 1 part bleach to 10 parts water, and you can make sure that you've killed any bacteria or bugs or whatever that might be on it. Store it somewhere protected, and that way they'll stay nice for a really long time. Number 10 is to clean and sharpen your tools. Now this one can either be done in the fall if you've got a really crummy weather day, or in the winter time. It's just a good idea to give all your tools a once over, clean them, sharpen them, Make notes if you need to replace any parts or if you need to replace any tools, period. It's always kind of nice to have that annual inventory of, you know, how are my tools doing and what do I need to do to make the jobs easier out in my garden. Number 11 is to plant garlic, and you can plant it up to the point where the soil is not workable anymore. So you won't probably see any growth above the ground, but it'll have a chance to start forming a root system down there and kind of start beefing up and getting ready for spring. And then once it gets warm enough in the spring, it'll take off and start growing, and it's one less thing you have to think about in the spring. And that kind of brings me to number 12. If you're wanting to plant new things in your garden, the rule of thumb is to plant them 6 to 8 weeks before your first hard frost, which I believe is like 28 degrees and lower for a really hard frost. We typically plant things no matter, you know, how close we are to that date, because I feel like plants are better off in the ground, insulated all the way around the root ball, than they are in their nursery containers. So just kind of bear that in mind. If you're planting something in the ground a little bit close to that frost date, you'll just want to make sure to keep the moisture level up, mulch around the root ball, so that you can help kind of provide that insulation for the plant. Number 13 is to stock up on seed starting supplies, because before you know it, just in a couple months' time, we'll be in full-on seed starting mode. And it's always nice to be stocked up before you actually need those things. Especially like this last spring, it was a little hard to get a hold of some of those things. So as you're done at your garden center looking at fall stuff, fall plants, if you need new tags or seed starting mix or seed starting trays, or maybe you've been eyeballing that like grow light that you know, will make your life a little bit easier, it's just a really good time to start picking up those things, maybe even a little bit at a time, so that you're ready to go when we're ready to start seeds. Number 14 is to winterize your lawn furniture. And this is an easy one. You just want to give everything a good thorough cleaning, and then either put it away somewhere protected from the winter elements or cover it. There are some really great covers that you can get for your furniture. Some cases it's really worth it. We like to keep some chairs out near our fireplace all winter long because we like to do fires out here. So even if it has snowed and there's snow everywhere, we can lift these covers off our chairs and they're perfectly dry and clean, and then we can have a fire right there like in the middle of these snow banks, and it's a really fun experience, and it's nice to have clean furniture that is dry for that purpose. Number 15 is to save seeds. So you may have some things out in your garden, Echinacea, Rudbeckia, oh boy, there's so many zinnias, snapdragons, foxglove, delphinium. There's so many perennials out there that you may have let go to seed. And it's a great time of year to go through your flower beds and collect those seeds. That way you can have a chance to start them the next season. Number 16 is to clean your bird feeders and prepare to start feeding. It's not really a great time to start actually feeding the birds just because there's so much for them to forage from in the garden still. But once snow comes and it really gets a little bit more barren out here, I like to put the feeders out. So I'll go through and bring all my bird feeders inside. I'll scour them, sanitize them, get them really nice and clean, and then I like to stock up on my bird feeds as well. So I have a couple of tubs out in our barn where I put like specific types of bird seed depending on what bird feeder I'm filling. So I just make sure to have everything kind of lined up and ready to go. And 17, the last one on my list, is to winterize your fountains. And this is something I haven't done yet. We've got some fairly large reservoirs in our fountains, which means we can run them a little bit longer through the season because they won't freeze as quickly as like a shallow fountain. So if you've got a really shallow fountain, once it starts turning fairly cold, it's a good idea to drain that fountain, clean it really well, store your pump somewhere protected. We store our pumps in our barn, and that way your fountain doesn't have a chance of like having the water in there freeze and crack the bowl of your fountain. I'll even put some burlap sacks on the bottom of my fountain bowls, because what will happen is when you receive moisture, rain or snow, it can collect on the burlap. Like the burlap will kind of soak it up, and it will be the burlap that freezes, not the water in the bowl of your fountain. And that's it, you guys. That's my list for now. I think it's a really good place to start, a list of basics, things to be thinking about this time of year. And I actually enjoy, even as a person who gardens a lot, I like to read lists like that from other people, because there are things that I will forget about, and there's lots of other things you can be doing this time of year. I mean, you can get really into it, and you can, you know, extend your growing season by utilizing different kinds of crop protectors and all kinds of different stuff. But I think like starting with a basic list like this it's just a good place to start. Anyway, I hope it was helpful to you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.